Out of Scorsese's rich filmography, The Departed might be my personal favorite. It's the one I keep coming back to every once in a while. There's something about it. The way the characters talk.
I'm gonna have a smoke right now. You want to smoke? You don't smoke, do you? Right? What do you want, all those fitness freaks, huh? Go fuck yourself.
The sharp, snappy editing that earns Thelma Schoonmaker her second Oscar.
Thank you so much.
The beautiful tango score from Howard Shore, and of course, the amazing performance from literally every actor in the film. Leo DiCaprio, Matt Damon, Jack Nicholson, and Mark Wahlberg, who got his first Oscar nomination for his portrayal of a ruthless police sergeant who would not hesitate to tear anybody a new one. In fact, his screen persona as a vile cop was so scary that he made this scene some of the most uncomfortable moments I have felt in a movie. Today, we're going to break down exactly what makes this the most intense job interview in cinema and how it sets the tone for the entire film. This scene takes place near the beginning of the film, as we're introduced to the key characters. And for context, let's go over the plot a little. Mob boss Frank Costello sends a young man named Colin Sullivan to the police academy. The plan is for Colin to become a cop and then serve as a mole inside the Massachusetts State Police, providing any crucial information that helps Costello stay one step ahead of the law. At the same time, we meet William Costigan, also training at the academy. We don't know much about him. He comes off as focused and determined. He jokes around a bit and even makes fun of his black classmate.
Put it this way, you're a black guy in Boston. You don't need any help from me to be completely fucked.
But overall, he comes across as someone who genuinely tries to become a cop. Fast forward, Colin and William have both graduated from the academy, and just like any college grads, it's time for them to get a job.
School's out.
So there they are at the Massachusetts State Police headquarters sitting through job interviews, hoping to earn a spot in the State Police, or as it's called in the film,
The Stadies.
Colin was the first one to go, and everything is smooth sailing for him.
Congratulations on passing the detective's exam and welcome to the Special Investigation Unit.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Captain Queenan congratulates him on passing the detective exam, and he's immediately assigned to the Special Investigation Unit, or SIU for short.
Thank you, sir.
Good luck.
Now this part is pretty unrealistic. There's no way for a fresh graduate to become a detective right away. A cadet would typically have to spend at least several years on patrol duty in uniform before even being considered for a detective exam, let alone joining the SIU. But for the sake of the film, let's say that Colin has somehow fast-tracked his way into becoming a detective within the State Police. On his way out, a gorgeous secretary drools over him.
Congratulations.
Thanks, hon.
And that's when he crosses paths with his future arch nemesis, William Costigan. But there's no interaction between the two. This is like a moment straight out of a Wonka-Wise film where the two central characters just happen to pass by without knowing who the other person is. Colin walks away while the secretary coldly calls for William.
You can go in there now.
This moment is to foreshadow the different treatments our two protagonists receive. Colin, a hoodlum acting as a cop, gets respect and admiration from the police department. William, on the other hand, who is genuinely trying to become a cop, is treated like a nobody.
What, do you get your period?
Another subtle detail that highlights the contrast between these two characters is how they dress. Colin's jacket is unbuttoned, his tie slightly askew. He doesn't seem to care much for formality, and it doesn't matter. He gets what he wants without breaking a sweat. William, on the other hand, looks sharp. His shoes are polished, his jacket buttoned. Everything about him speaks professionalism, but it also reflects a sense of nervousness. He wants this job. But things only go downhill as soon as he steps into the room. Billy walks in with his hand at his side. He doesn't relax until Captain Queenan tells him to take a seat. It feels almost like a military moment. Now watch Sergeant Dignam. He also takes a seat on the cupboard behind him. If you have seen The Departed before, you already know this man has an agenda against Billy. But for now, he decides to take a step back and leaves room for the man who has more authority than he does, in this case, his captain. So the composition starts out like this and ends like this. At this point, it's safe to say that Captain Queenan is the one in charge. And as an audience, we usually expect the person with the most authority to run the scene, whether from giving orders,
So pretty please, with sugar on top, clean the fucking car.
to threatening others.
You little scumbag! I got your name! I got your ass! You will not laugh! You will not cry!
But in this scene, The Departed completely subverts that expectation.
Do you know what we do here? My section?
Sir, yes, sir, I have an idea.
Whoa. Let's say you have no idea and leave it at that, okay? No idea. Zip. None. If you had an idea about what we do, we would not be good at what we do, would we? We would be cunts. Are you calling us cunts?
Right away, Billy is met with hostility, not from the captain, but from Dignam. Just the use of the word
cunts
immediately disrupts the formality we saw a few seconds ago. But what's really confusing is the captain's reaction.
Staff Sergeant Dignam has a style of his own. I'm afraid we all have to get used to it.
He doesn't have a problem with his staff sergeant's attitude and even excuses it. By doing this, the captain quietly hands over the power to Dignam. As the power dynamic shifts, so does the blocking. Dignam rises to his feet and steps forward, moving closer to the camera. He now physically upstages the captain and becomes dominant in the frame. Despite the captain's rank, it is clear who's really in charge now. Now let's take a look at the composition of this frame. The window panels behind the characters form 3 bold vertical lines, with the center line splitting the frame in halves. While vertical lines are often associated with power, this line represents the separation of power. Meanwhile, Billy is placed in the center of the frame on a high camera angle, making him vulnerable against not only one, but 2 different sources of power. Compare this to Colin's interview earlier, who's also placed in the center of the frame, but this time on a low camera angle, suggesting a sense of control. In this shot, we see Colin completely in a higher position in the frame, looking down at these 2 men on the sides of his shoulders. That's because Colin has won the scene. He has successfully infiltrated the Massachusetts State Police without any suspicion. Let's get back to our scene.
Why don't you tell us about your Uncle Jackie?
He was a carpet layer for Jordan Marsh.
Uncle Jackie was a small-time bookie who tended bar at the Vets in Somerville. He got popped by Nicastro in '95. We found his body out by the airport.
At this point, we understand the reason why Dignam is onto Billy's case. His family was connected to the Southie gangs, and his Uncle Jackie was a known member of Frank Costello's crew.
Uncle Jackie better. Jackie was all right.
Uncle Jackie was excellent.
As Dignam presses Billy about his family ties, the film intercuts to a meeting in a different room where Captain Ellaby is also talking about Uncle Jackie.
That's Jackie Costigan. That's an old picture. Jackie met his demise. Last known photograph.
While Billy is getting grilled, people in the other room are literally laughing at his uncle's death. He just doesn't belong here. This is also the first time we get a glimpse into Billy's background, and it's a pretty shady one. Shady enough to make us wonder, why is he even here? Why is someone with such deep criminal roots trying so hard to become a cop?
That maggot uncle of yours, Tommy Costigan's another goof. He gets busted selling guns to federal officers, among many other departures from our normative behavior.
And what's this got to do with me, huh?
Why are you pretending to be a cop?
This shot stands out for 2 reasons. First, it's the first time in the scene where the camera moves. Second, it starts from the opposite side of the 180 line, breaking the rule entirely. Now, we've seen directors breaking the 180 rule before, and most of the time, it is to signal that there's instability in the story world. In this scene alone, Scorsese breaks the 180 rule not just once, but a few more times later. While this technique tells us that something is out of the ordinary, in this case, we're watching a criminal trying to become a cop. But I like to think of this as something more. It's a way for us to see the 2 sides of Billy. One is a cop, the other, a criminal. After all, The Departed is a film about identity, about men pretending to be the opposite of who they really are. And to see the other side of someone's face, you have to shift the camera angle. You have to cross the line. And notice when Colin and Billy first walk into the room, cinematographer Michael Ballhaus lights the room in halves. One side is filled with sunlight, while the other is drowned in shadow. It's a subtle visual cue of the idea that both characters have a bright side and a dark one. The question is, which side is real and which one is just a facade?
You were kind of a double kid, I bet, right? Huh? One kid with your old man, one kid with your mother. You're upper middle class during the weeks, then you're dropping your eyes and you're hanging in the big bad Southie projects with your daddy the fucking donkey on the weekends. I got that right? Yep. You have different accents? You did, didn't you, you little fucking snake? You were like different people.
Here, Dignam calls Billy out for living a double life even as a kid. But he doesn't just mock Billy, he almost admires him. The way Billy could switch between lifestyles, shift his accent, and adapt to a different environment every single day is exactly what makes a great undercover. Billy was born for this job. In fact, he's been training for it his entire life.
So tell me, what's a lace-curtain motherfucker like you doing in the States?
Well, families are always rising or falling in America, am I right?
This moment, though brief as it is, says a lot about Billy and his reflection upon his family background. Back then, organized crime ran on the strength and reputation of a family name.
Mr. Corleone.
In the early 1930s in New York City, family names such as Colombo, Gambino, or Luciano are to be feared. It's the same thing here with the Costigans. Billy understands that he will always be labeled as part of a criminal family because of his last name.
Tommy Costigan's another goof.
It's Jackie Costigan.
Family's all criminals except for the old man, huh?
When he quotes Hawthorne,
Well, families are always rising or falling in America, am I right?
he's admitting that his family has fallen. But now, he wants to change that. He wants to be the first Costigan to do something good for society. And maybe this could be the real reason why Billy wants to become a cop.
What's this I hear from Stephanie about you becoming a policeman? Well, you're trying to prove something to the family?
He wants to prove that a fallen family name can rise again in this country. However, as ambitious as Billy is, he still fails to convince Queenan and Dignam, as you can see how the rest of the scene plays out.
Do you want to be a cop, or do you want to appear to be a cop? It's an honest question. A lot of guys want to appear to be cops. Gun, badge, pretend they're on TV.
I know what you are, okay? I know what you are and I know what you're not. I'm the best friend you have on the face of this earth, and I'm gonna help you understand something, you punk. You're no fucking cop.
He's right. We deal in deception here. What we do not deal with is self-deception.
This quote from Queenan might be one of the most underrated in the film. When he talks about self-deception, he implies that Billy may suffer from identity crisis, and becoming a cop, wearing a badge, and carrying a gun doesn't magically erase his family background overnight. And this is what Billy learns later on in the film, that his job doesn't define who he is. His job is not his identity.
Look, I just want my identity back, all right? That's all.
All right. I understand you want to be a cop again.
No. Being a cop's not an identity. I want my identity back.
And of course, The Departed isn't the first film to explore this idea.
We're not your job. You're not how much money you have in the bank.
But here's the question. If Queenan and Dignam never intended to hire Billy as a cop, then why bother interviewing him in the first place?
But you will not be a Massachusetts state trooper.
You sure of that?
I'm sure of that.
Guaranteed.
Do they just rip him apart for fun? Once we learn later that they want to recruit Billy as an undercover, the tone of the scene shifts.
There's money behind this operation. You won't be paid as a regular cop, but there's a bonus involved. Tax-free.
Dignam, who was a complete asshole just moments earlier, is now being all gentle to Billy.
You want to serve the Commonwealth, this is your chance. We need you, pal. You've already pretended to be a Costigan from South Boston.
Every weekend, Sergeant.
Perfect.
Do it again. For me.
So, is it safe to say that Queenan and Dignam emotionally manipulated Billy into becoming the mole? I do think so. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know down in the comments if you would like to see more scene analysis like this. Also, please support the channel by subscribe. Till next time.